how do you feel about the establishment of Israel as a state being established only because they took Palestinian territory, Palestine, just turned into Israel? How do you feel about that?
What was the question?
The question was, how do you feel about Israel being established on a state on top of Palestinian territory? Like, it was Palestine. You can't just...
Oh, you want to get into the historical, like,
Sure.
who owned what first?
Well,
Because there was no Arabs. There were no
so you're saying
modern-day Arabs in Palestine.
there was no Arabs in
Do you
Palestine.
know where the
so
word Palestine comes from? Like, do you know what it means? It means Philistine. Yeah. And who were the Philistines? People who crossed the Aegean Sea and took over it. You know that Alexander the Great has taken over the land of Palestine? Napoleon took over Palestine. Genghis Khan took over Palestine.
So
the
you're
Romans
saying-
took over Palestine.
So you're-
at which point did the indigenous people live there? Everyone's been wiped out there so many times.
But Palestinians were there before the state of Israel. It was called Palestine.
That's not true, actually. So you're talking about British mandated Palestine.
But it's
what
still
I think
Palestine.
That is not it. It's Palestine. I'm thinking when you say Palestine, you're referring to a country, right? A state, a region,
Well,
something like that.
Palestinian
There
people
needs
have
to be a
existed.
head of state. Who's the first head of state of Palestine?
Well, there was no head of state because it was
So
absorbed
it's never
by
a
the
country.
Okay, but
It's never a region.
So you're
and I'll just say
saying-
this:
Okay.
do you agree that Jews live in Israel, modern day Israel?
yeah, there was Jews, there was Christians, there
Okay.
were Muslims in Jerusalem.
Why do you call Jews Jews?
I can't say that word.
No. I'm asking you. Do you know why we call Jewish people Jews? Not just because it's short for Jew, but there used to be a country called Judea, and it was right smack there where currently today is Israel. So people that came
heard
from
that
that
argument.
area were called Jews. So if you want to talk about who was there first, which I think is the silliest argument that we can play,
I never said who was there first. But
it was the Jewish people.
Okay.
So if we want to talk about decolonization, it is the greatest example of decolonization in modern history. The Jewish people came and decolonized what was being occupied as their region and took it back. But I think it's a silly game to play who was there first. The reality of it is that if you want to go back to 48, they both had an opportunity to establish their state. Israel took that opportunity. They became the state of Israel. Palestine decided to skip out on it because the Arab countries said, no, we're going to go to war and wipe out whatever is Israel. And guess what? They lost that war really bad, and they didn't have anywhere to go back to. It's their own fault that they refused to accept that. They had another opportunity 20 years later. Jordan was tasked with creating Palestine. They never created it. We just have the West Bank, which was supposed to be the Palestine, but again, Jordan decided not to create it. So whose fault is it?
So you're saying it's the fault of Palestinians that they got colonized by Israel?
Who colonized them?
Israel.
Who?
No, I'm saying that I understand there was no head of state. I understand whatever. But still, Israel came.
You're talking about Arabs that live around the
they're
areas and now in
no,
Gaza and
Palestinian-
stuff like that?
Okay, look,
There's no such thing
for
as
a hun-
Palestinians because Palestine has never existed. You're talking about Gazans, people that live in Gaza. You're talking about displaced Arabs who are mostly Jordanians that live in the West Bank region, Judea and Samaria. No such thing as Palestinians. This is the problem when you constantly say, these people are being oppressed, these people just don't exist.
So Palestinians don't exist. They're
Is
just
there
Arabs.
Palestine? Do you know a country called
They're just
Palestine?
Arabs. Yes.
Can you point it on the map for me so we can see it
I
together?
love,
Here,
I
I'll pull up
love
Google
when
Maps and maybe you
Zionists,
can
I
tell
love
us.
when Zionists say this argument over and over again. I'm referring to, there's been generations of Palestinians.
But Palestine doesn't exist.
Okay,
There
but
can be-
anyways, Palestinians, they've existed. And then I understand in 1948, the state of Israel came to be so Jewish people can have
There
a
are
homeland.
Arabs that lived in that region that I think you're calling Palestinians, but they've never lived in a place called
Okay.
Palestine.
So
The majority of people that live in Gaza are a mix of Arabs that come from Egypt and Jordan. They don't identify as Palestinian either.
So no one calls themselves a Palestinian.
I didn't say that. I said that the majority of people that live in Gaza are a mixed people that came from the peninsula, the northern peninsula in Egypt, and then from Jordan. And hey, it's not like either of those countries didn't have quote-unquote Palestinians living in there. They did. But in Egypt, they tried to establish a state. They tried to overthrow the king there. He threw them out. They went to Jordan. They committed Black September there, where they tried to assassinate the king there. So they ethnically cleansed them out of Jordan to Lebanon. And when they came to Lebanon, they started a civil war with the Lebanese government, which we got Hezbollah because of that.
Okay.
So then they threw them back to, the tip of Egypt.
But I'm speaking about when the state of Israel was created, settlements began. I'm not just talking about the West Bank, but Jewish people were welcomed because it's like Jerusalem is, or just Palestine as a whole, is seen as a holy land, of course. For Jerusalem, Christians, Muslims, and Jewish people have coexisted there for hundreds of years. So it's like
Guess what? They coexist in Israel today. Have you ever been to Israel?
It's a melting pot.
Have you been to Israel?
No,
Jerusalem,
I
Tel
haven't
Aviv?
No, I haven't.
2 million Arabs live there.
Okay.
Muslims live there.
That's a different conversation. I'm talking about the history. But anyways.
But wait.
But they coexist. That's
I mean, like, they literally live there together.
Okay, but
so why is it
can I
only
get to
that?
my point?
I mean, like, the West Bank is pretty relaxed.
Okay.
Yeah, you have some flare-ups here and there, but generally speaking,
But I'm
it's a
talking
pretty relaxed
about
place. Why is it that? And then the 2 million Arab that live inside of Israel, pretty chill. Why is it that only Gaza has an issue?
Okay. No, I'm talking about just how Israel came to be and the ideology. Anyways.
The ideology?
Zionism. The state of Israel was created because of Zionism.
The same kind of I guess you can call it Zionism that Arabs, that Islam had in that region, and said we need to take this land for ourselves because it says in the Quran to go take over everything. That same ideology, or is it different? So why is it that they get a pass when they can slaughter Christians in Egypt and Syria and Iran and take over the country, but it's completely fine? They're not the colonizers. But as soon as Israel wants a country that was theirs, now all of a sudden, hey guys, we can't have one non-Muslim state in this entire region. It's like
It's not that though. I understand.
It's a double standard.
Every religion has had its colonization. Islam has, Christianity has. I mean, Christian missionaries, whatever. We can get into that. But I'm saying that why is it okay when the state of Israel was created that, again, you don't believe in Palestinians, but Palestinians were thrown out of their homes for Israeli settlers.
Nobody was thrown out of their homes.
No one was thrown out.
Israel actually gave back a bunch of land, and they kicked Israelis out to give that land back to the people from Gaza.
So the homes,
Nakba?
yes.
Okay.
So the Nakba.
What
so
is
the
the
homes.
Nakba?
Sorry, I can't say the word. When Palestinians were basically millions of Palestinians were thrown out of their homes for Israeli
the state of
settlers.
Israel was created.
Yeah, for the state of Israel.
So in 1948, they created the state of Israel. They say that this is our territory. They came.
Well, it slowly happened.
They came to people who are Arabs, specifically
Palestinians,
Arabs, whatever you want to call them, and said you have to leave your house, right?
Yeah,
that's the idea of the Nakba.
Not millions, but thousands of Palestinians. I don't know the exact number.
800,000 is the idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, it happened, and you can't.
Is that how you imagine it to be?
It happened. You can't erase.
No, I'm asking you. It's a very simple question. Is that how you imagine it to be?
Yes, they were thrown out of their home.
Okay, but that's not true.
Hold on.
What do you mean that's not true?
Hold on, because there's a lot of double standards here. When a bunch of Arab countries first took a bunch of refugees from Gaza,
I'm talking about Israel, but
do you know what they did to them?
No.
Okay, so this is crazy. So they took in, I think it's Syria that took in like 200,000 Palestinians. Yeah. They took them in as refugees, and they caused a bunch of trouble there. You know what they did? They kicked them all out. They literally threw them all out back into Gaza. So people are talking, Egypt. Yeah, Trump's deporting illegals. Look at what Egypt has done. And they're like, hey guys, we know you're Muslim, but we don't want you here.
You're deflecting on what Israel has done.
Wall.
You're deflecting on what Israel has done. I understand that there's been
double standard that you're talking about.
I understand there's been Arab colonization, but what Israel is doing is I
just want to debunk the Nakba. It's been widely debunked many times, and it's true. Let's just have common sense conversation about this.
No, we're having to. Yeah. It's okay.
People that were living in that region, suddenly in 1948, there's a declaration of a new state that lived in Israel, and you believe that people who are Jewish or are residents of the new state of Israel came to people who are Palestinians or Arabs or whatever their case is and said, this is Israel now, this is our area, leave your homes. This is what is portrayed to be the Nakba, right? 800,000 of these incidents, right? It wasn't slowly. It all happened within 3 months.
No, I'm saying like how much
800,000 Arabs left the new state of Israel all in 3 months after Israel was created. It's not that Jews or Israelis or whatever the case is suddenly came to 800,000 people's homes and said, leave this area. The Arabs the Arab countries in the region who decided to or refused to make the state of Palestine told those people, leave this area because we're about to attack the newly formed state of Israel and you don't want to be in a war-torn region.
Exactly, they're telling them to leave their homes.
Did you hear who I said told them to leave the homes? The Arab countries surrounding them that attacked.
The Arab countries told
Do you know what happened in
Yes.
Do you know what happened in 1948 after the state of Israel was formed? Do you know what the neighboring Arab countries did?
Continue.
Okay, I don't think you know, but that's fine.
That's what I'm saying.
The Arab countries neighboring them, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, all got together and attacked Israel.
Okay.
For months before they attacked Israel, they propagandized to the people that are living in the new state of Israel, the 800,000 Arabs that left because of Nakba, to leave their homes because their homes are going to be in a war-torn region. They said, come to our places, like Egypt, like Jordan, where then they did everything that Fabian was talking about, the civil war, Black September assassination attempt of the king, which resulted in them getting kicked out of their countries. But nonetheless, the Arab countries who attacked Israel told the Arabs in the region, leave. Once we win this war, you guys can come back. And guess what happened? Israel kicked all of their asses, took even more area. That was supposed to be the state of Palestine that they refused to build. And they've been complaining ever since then. They stopped complaining about the 1948 borders because that's unrealistic. Now they want the 68 borders. They again had a chance to make the state of Palestine in 68, refused to do so, went to war against Israel again, lost again, and they've been complaining ever since then. Like, how many times have we offered them a statehood and they've attacked us? And then they drew all the Arabs out of the area there. Does that make sense now? Like, the Nakba is literally Arab propaganda.
I disagree, but why was
hold on,
state...
but you disagree based off what? Like, based off what piece of information that he said? Do you disagree?
You guys are trying to get me.
No.
Words.
Because you can't just say I disagree and then move on. Like, that was, you were talking about it.
Well, I disagree because the Nakba, it's a historic event. I'm not...
But like, what specifically do you think that he got wrong about that?
I guess there's the intention behind it, saying that like, oh no, Israelis didn't kick Palestinians out of their homes, like stuff like that.
So if you found out, let's say you go home and you
denying
Google it,
colonization, denying that.
So later on, when you go home and let's say you Google it, and you do find that it was the Arab countries that told them, hey, get out of there. Would that change your mind about it?
Okay, but you're deflecting though.
No.
Why was Israel there in the first place? I understand that Israelis and Palestinians can live, together, but it's like Israel wanted more territory, and because of that,
they equally in 48 they equally got off. Well, you say, oh my God, as if it's not important. In 48 they got an opportunity to establish finally Palestine.
Yes,
and finally
and
Israel.
I agree.
Israel accepted. Palestine refused.
Look,
it was a split of about 51 to 49.
Palestinians and Israelis.
And the main religious areas for both Judaism, Islam, and Christianity would be under the control of the international community, mostly the European Union. And they refused that. They decided to go to war. 3-4 neighboring countries decided to simultaneously attack the newly formed Israel. That's messed up.
And why do you think they attacked them? Just because they were Jewish?
Religion.
That's what I said, just because they were Jewish. Anyways, Palestine, I don't know most of the historical context. I'm not gonna just assume that I do.
Just know there's a lot more than what you've seen in the media and that what you've been told. Wherever you read this at, there's a long history of it. There's a lot of things that...
But I'm going back to the main idea of why Israel wanted to get so much land and colonize in the first place, and that goes back to Zionism.
So much land. It's
it goes back to Zionism.
They were fine with 50% of the land. They accepted 50%
so you're saying,
of the land.
Israel just had to go and get more land.
I mean, a bunch of Jewish people migrated to the region since the late 1800s, essentially. And eventually, I mean, there were civil wars between the population nonstop. So they were like, okay, the British were like, I'm out. And before they were out, they said, we're gonna give you guys the land that we occupy. Let's create 2 states. One accepted, the other one decided not to, and then launched a war against its neighboring country.
And now they're complaining. They're like, oh, we've had so many chances. We keep saying no. Now you guys are the bad guys because we attacked you. We killed civilians. We took hostages. Oh, but look, you overreacted, so now you're the bad guy. Like, what?
Well, we have 2 different viewpoints because I view the state of Israel as colonizer, and you don't.
And I see the entire Arab region as colonizers.
Okay.
The entire Middle East that has been colonized and Arabized by Islamization, I see
Okay.
them as the colonizers.
Okay.
So you're telling me one country in the middle of a million of the other kind is the one that's all of a sudden the oppressor? What about the Christians in Egypt? What about the Christians in Iran? What about
That seems to be
any
your
other
main
religion in
argument.
any other country in that region? But you never say, oh, well, yeah, you know, I mean, do you agree that that entire region has been Arabized and colonized by the Islamists? If Islam started in Saudi Arabia, now all these countries are Islam. So what happened there? Was it a
So-
peaceful takeover?
So you're saying that gives an excuse for the takeover of Palestine?
Oh, it has nothing to do with that. I'm just talking about a
Okay,
separate
but
issue.
you're bringing that into your.
Yeah, they're not taking it over.
Well, okay,
Simple.
yes,
It's
and
a partitioning
so,
plan.
okay.
Understand how we used to live in a different era. How we used to all do a lot of things that are illegal now, right? Morally are
But Israel-
illegal,
but
or
Israel is
morally
doing-
are bad, illegal, right? All of that stuff.
Okay.
Part of what used to not be illegal is that you used to colonize land, right? I mean, it's still not illegal. We just have a doctrine against it, but it doesn't matter. Britain colonized the land. It was in charge of the land. It said, I don't want to be in charge of this land anymore. So it gave the people in the area a plan. One place accepted the deal, the other one didn't. And that's how we are at the situation we're at. It's not like Jews were like, oh, I'm going to go to war with the people in the region so I can have my area. No, they were just offered an amazing plan and they accepted it. And it was recognized by the international community over time. And
It's also, it's not like Israel wakes up on a random day. Hey guys, yeah, let's shoot a few rockets into the into Gaza just to kill people. Right? Like, have you ever seen Israel just randomly shoot missiles into like Rafah?
No, but I've seen I've
so
seen
who's the one
IDF
shooting
soldiers. Why are IDF soldiers shooting at Palestinian children and going into olive farms that are owned by Palestinians?
Okay, so you're talking about like why are specific instances I saw online happening? Number one, you have
So
to
you're
question
saying
is
those
what
are
you're seeing
fake?
Israel.
So you're saying
but I'm
those are
talking about the
fake?
broader conflict. You never see Israel randomly launching rockets into Gaza for no reason, right? Let's say everything's calm and you start launching rockets. Have you ever seen that before? Have you ever heard of an instance where Israel woke up one day and started launching rockets at
when
Gaza?
the first ceasefire was approved, whatever, Israel attacked Gaza again for no reason. They launched, yes.
For no reason?
They broke the ceasefire
For no
agreement
reason.
the first time.
For no
yes.
reason.
Okay, so you're going to bring Hamas into it.
Sorry?
You're going to bring Hamas into it?
No, I'm asking you that they did it for no reason. Like,
Yes.
they woke up and they're like, hey, I'm going to press this button.
No, I'm saying they had a ceasefire agreement. Both agreed. Hamas,
but
Israel agreed.
Do you
Let me
think that
finish.
people were still shooting for no reason on both sides?
They had an
Because
agreement. They had a ceasefire agreement, and Israel broke the agreement.
Sure, so what you're saying is that Israel woke up one day and say, hey guys, I know we have the ceasefire, but let's just launch these rockets because our PR is so good around the world. Like, you think that's really what they did?
But why would they break the ceasefire
No,
agreement?
hold on,
though?
but do you think that's what they did? You think they just
I don't know why they did
randomly,
that.
but do you think
I don't know why they did that. Well, I don't know why they did that, but I'm saying why would they break the ceasefire agreement when all they wanted was
Okay, so
both
let me ask
sides
you,
wanted a ceasefire.
Do you think they did it for no reason?
I'm not sure why they did. Actually, my opinion is that they did it because they're ethnically cleansing Gaza. But anyway,
They were like, let's get a few more before what? Like, okay, the ceasefire's gone.
yeah, because they don't see Palestinians.
Let's get a few more.
They don't see Palestinians as humans.
They give them permits to come work in their country, but they don't see them as humans.
Why do they need permits in the first place?
Because somebody that lives in Mexico needs a permit to get into the United States to work here. It's the same exact thing. If somebody lives in Gaza, they need a permit to get into Israel because it's not
But having a
their
permit,
country. I'll also say
crazy.
this, just to debunk the idea that Israelis don't see
I
Gazans
didn't say
as humans
Israelis.
and
I
stuff.
said the Israeli government.
The Israeli government.
Okay.
It
So
would have
there's
not been
some Israelis that
60,000
don't
dead.
agree with what Netanyahu is
It'd have been
doing,
a
and
million
that's fine.
plus dead if they wanted to ethnically cleanse them. If they wanted to genocide them, it would not be 60,000. They wouldn't take all the time in the world to get as many civilians as possible out of residential buildings that have MODPAs under them. All of that is just propaganda. It's don't parrot stuff that you just see on the internet. Let's use some common sense here. 2.5 million people live in a square mile that's like smaller than this campus here. You don't think that Israel, with its powerful military, would have killed more than 1 million people if it wanted to ethnically cleanse it? They have shitty international PR. The people that used to support them in America don't support them anymore. They have nothing to lose if they truly wanted to ethnically cleanse people. Think about it. Use your brain. If America wanted to ethnically cleanse Native Americans in some small Cherokee County in North Carolina over here, they wouldn't kill 2% of the population. They'd have wiped out the entire place. Israel, if they wanted to commit a genocide, the IDF, the Israeli government, they'd have done it. And the reason I'm getting like so worked up about it is because when you have that as the main mindset, you're not willing to take in all the other stuff. That there is no such thing as Palestinians, because in order for you to believe that there's ethnic cleansing, you need to believe that there's Palestinians, but you're not even open to the idea that there's no such thing as Palestinians. I'm not saying that people don't exist there, it's just Gazans don't exist. That trickles down to a lot of the issues.
The crazy part is the whole genocide thing. 60,000 of 2 million is 3%. So if you believe that every single person, all the 60,000 that Hamas is telling us died, were civilians and none were Hamas?
I didn't say that none were Hamas,
Okay.
but I'm saying that
it's 3% of the population. If you're listening to their figures, that to me doesn't seem like a genocide. Even if every single one of those people.
So you're saying that if Israel wanted to truly ethnically cleanse Gaza, that they should have just dropped one big bomb and just killed everybody?
One big bomb. I mean, Jesus, they have every bomb that they would have dropped, they would have not done a roof knock bomb. They would have not
No,
done
you're
pen
saying
flips.
that you don't view it as an ethnic cleansing unless everyone dies?
No, not everyone, but
Not
let's
everyone,
just use.
but like 90% dies?
But let's use-
It's still
You don't wanna
ethnic
cleanse
cleansing.
the Gazans and not all the Arabs
60,000
living in the
people
West
is
Bank,
crazy.
not all the Arabs living inside Jerusalem.
Let me put
This
it in
is
your
just-
perspective. Let me
just
put it
the
in your
Gazans.
perspective. Let me put it in your
One second,
perspective.
before you go into it, I just want to have a simple point of clarification here, if I may. You think that the IDF is targeting the people in Gaza specifically because of their ethnicity, because of their
Yes.
religion?
Yes.
What about the 2 million Arabs who, some of them are Muslims, that are living inside Israel that have full rights? So one of them is the Supreme Court Justice. The other one is the top executive of the biggest bank in Israel. They can vote. They can be lawyers. They can be doctors. If that government of Israel hates the people that live in Gaza because of their ethnicity and their religion or one or the other, why do they allow so many of them to thrive and have rights in Israel? Why is that the case?
Two things can be true at the same time.
Oh, well, that's bullshit. Wouldn't it be much easier to just jail these people that are in your
So-
country, limit their opportunity to have any political influence in the country? Do you know that the Arabs are represented by an actual political representation and hold many seats in the Knesset there? Why would that be the case if they hate them based off
Why
their
would that be the
ethnicity or-
case? Why would that be the case if Israel is ethnically cleansing Palestinians, though?
Because they're not. That's the thing.
Why wouldn't?
They're not.
Why? This whole thing started in Gaza. Why? Why are so many dead? It's because of Israel. Are you saying that
the last time I remember is that October 6th, everything was peaceful. October 7th, a militant group called Hamas came over Israel's border, slaughtered 1,200 people, took 200 plus people hostage. And then here's the thing, I'd have so much more respect for them if they were like the Houthis, if they were even like Hezbollah. Why? They fight in camo, like in military outfit, and they don't hide behind their moms, their kids, especially put the hostages behind their moms and kids. So they can end up in situations like this where a person in Georgia that goes to a college is telling me how they are sympathetic for those people.
Well, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just, I'm just
But
saying
it's good
what
to get
my opinion
clarification.
is.
I'm sure there's a lot of things you heard.
I'm just saying that how I view what is going on in Gaza as a genocide, and you don't. Obviously, you don't believe that there was ever a Palestine, and I do, and that's.
We appreciate you so much for having this conversation. That's all it's about, seriously. That, like, I speak for both of us here. It's like, it's all about having these conversations.
Yeah, and we're allowed to have conversations, but
Well, honestly, I think we talked about Israel for way too long in Palestine
Oh, yeah.
and Gaza.
Aya.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
David.